Welcome, everybody. My name is Marilee Burnett, and I am back again with a special edition that is all about the upcoming solar eclipse, which will be in the sign of Libra. If you are new to my channel, welcome. And please take a moment to hit on that subscribe button. Even more importantly, go out to my website, marileeburnett.com, and there you can register to receive all of my printed content. Well, not exactly printed, but my written content. And that way you will get an email every time I post new information like the upcoming monthly October horoscope, as well as this solar eclipse article. So be sure to join me there. And of course, I would love to work with you and help to make sure you're prepared for what eclipse season has in store for you. And I have a heavily discounted reading session that you may be interested in. So check that out on my website, marileeburnett.com, under the special offers. All right. So we've got a lot to cover. Eclipses, of course, are about fate. And that's because they happen next to or nearby what we call the nodes. So this is what we call a south node eclipse. And the south node is things that we're moving away from and we're letting go, karma that we are resolving. So in order to have the new beginning, you need to learn the lesson and you need to let something important go that is blocking you from achieving what you came here to achieve in this area of your chart and your life. Libra, justice. It's about fairness and balance. Relationships, marriage, business contracts, commitments, serious commitments have everything to do with the energy of Libra, and that's because it rules over the 7th house, which covers all of those types of topics. Now, the South Node's what you've already done in a past life. So some of us have karma, all of us have karma from our past life. And if this happens to be hitting on something specific in your chart, there may be something that needs to be resolved that you will notice more than other people do. So any planets at 6 degrees, give or take 5 on either side of that, are speaking directly with the nodes. And you're probably already feeling those lessons now. Now, with the North Node down here, this other horseshoe shape in Aries, we've been working since a year ago this past July on what we can do to be strong and independent, to stand up for ourselves, to restore balance so that what's important to us in relationships is considered just as much as the other person. So if you're in any kind of personal or business relationship where things are not fair and balanced, where somebody's trying to take advantage of you or you're trying to take advantage of someone else, then that's coming up for resolution right now. And the solution has to be fair for both of you. Okay. So then, of course, this new moon, which we have in the sign of Libra at this 10-degree point, is about new beginnings in relationships. But this isn't, of course, a typical new moon where you just run out, you make your 2 new moon wishes and go about your merry way. It's not really a time for starting new things. This is a time for clearing karma. This is a time for releasing and eclipsing things out that are blocking you from achieving a new beginning in this area. So instead of setting intentions for new beginnings in relationships, you're setting intentions to remove any blocks that are keeping you from having a good relationship, that are keeping you from having balance in your life, and that are keeping you stuck maybe in a very long legal battle, for instance. So all of that comes into play now. And then, of course, where this happens in your chart is really important. Now, the other energy that's important at this time is Mercury. So Mercury is now in the sign of Libra And it is conjunct this new moon. It's at 11 degrees. So it has finished its cazimi when Mercury and the sun meet up. Mercury gets cleansed by the sun and starts to move on. So it's even a new beginning for Mercury, which is communication. It can be written agreements. It can be about writing. It can be about traveling. There's all kinds of things that involve the mind when we are talking about Mercury. And it's your lower mind, right? It's not your higher mind. It's not your connection to spirit and that. This is your everyday thinking energy that needs to get rebalanced. So if you've been stuck, for instance, in a negative Nelly situation in your mind, well, now it's time to get more positive with the way you think. If you've been speaking negatively to other people, now it's time to speak more positively, right? We're adjusting. And so wherever you're at on the spectrum, as far as your thinking, as far as the way you speak to others in relationships, there's something that needs to change. So Mercury plays a big role. And this can be energy that's in your community, can be about teaching, could be about learning, something about that and the relationships that you have to those kinds of people could need to change. Third house, which Mercury and Gemini energy belongs to, is all about your community too. So there can be things that need to be restored, fairness in your community at this time as well. So that's the beginning, right? Now, people ask me, what's this eclipse going to do for me? And I don't know because I'm not psychic. But what I can suggest is a few things. The last time we had this eclipse in this same area of your chart was October 3rd of 2005. So what was going on at that time? And of course, we're not always focused on just the exact day. Even right now, we're not, right? You may already have seen what your eclipse event is about, and now you're just waiting for the rest of the story to unfold. And wherever the lunar eclipse happens, whether it's before or after the solar eclipse, has something to do with this as well. So almost 2 weeks ago, we'll already have completed the full moon lunar eclipse. So if you haven't watched that video yet, go back and watch it because it's still applicable. Now, that one was in the sign of Pisces and giving us a preview of the next 18 months of work that will kick off in January 2025. This eclipse in Libra is the end of the previous 18 months work. This is the last eclipse that we'll see in Libra. So it's important, right? This is the test. Have you learned the lessons in the area that's being ruled in your chart by Libra? Because this is your graduating ceremony. So again, you want to grow all the time with the energy of the planets. And the planets want to grow, right? I always feel like it's a two-way street there. As we grow down here, the planets grow, right? And they bring us new and different lessons as we interact with that energy. So there's this opportunity to check off a box and finish the work and then move on. Because again, in January, the nodes move on. The lessons shift and change, and a lot shifts and change in January. So you'll want to check back as I will do a preview of 2025 pretty soon. All right. So that is the eclipse energy directly of what is going on. And of course, it's being opposed by that North Node in Aries. So you need to resolve these partnership issues in order to gain your independence and your strength and be able to move forward on whatever that path is. So again, you have to look what house is being activated by the opposition to the North Node by this eclipse. So in the chart in front of us, for instance, this person would have an opportunity for a new beginning. It's probably a bit of a surprise in their career sector. And they may have recently lost their job unexpectedly and were worried and stressed out about it. But now this opportunity that's meant for you is coming up. and you'll want to take advantage of it. And by doing that, North Node in your 4th house, there may be something you have to do as far as moving. Maybe you have to relocate because of the fact that the North Node's in your 4th house. Maybe you have to get out of the house that you've been working in and you have to go back into an office, or vice versa. So everybody's story is, of course, individualized and associated with your chart and what the lessons are here for you to learn. All right, so that sets the stage. And then we look at the supporting players. What else is going on in the sky that will be influencing us? Well, we have this pretty incredible grand water trine. And that happens when there's 3 planets that are trining to one another. It is an opportunity. It will be there for us, but again, we have to do the work and we have to take advantage of it. So we have to trust our intuition. We have to feel into this. We have to allow ourselves to feel all the way through this. And we have to respond responsibly, because this has everything to do with Saturn in Pisces, which is about setting good, healthy boundaries with someone in your life in order for you to move forward. And then you have Venus helping you in the sign of Scorpio. And Venus in Scorpio is very intense emotional experience, right? And then you have the ruler, one of the rulers of Scorpio, Mars, along with Pluto, that is speaking again in harmony with Saturn and Venus. Now, when Saturn and Mars are speaking together, that's about moving forward very slowly, very cautiously. So it's not like you should run and quit your job, right? That's not what the eclipse is telling you to do, right? The eclipse presents the opportunity, and then it's up to you and how you respond to the opportunity that makes it all unfold. So there is definitely a lot of energy helping and supporting us during this time. In fact, you notice most of the energy in the sky, is highlighted with blue. Now that's fainter, but again, Mars in the sign of Cancer, which I usually say Mars is kind of a spoiled brat in the sign of Cancer because it has to feel and it doesn't like feeling. So it can misbehave a bit in this sign. And it is squaring to, of course, the sun and the moon and Mercury in Libra. And so there is this motivation that you have to help you change the balance in your relationships, to change something legally, to whatever this topic is for you, whatever the house is. So this person with the 10th house, which is a career, fame, your reputation, and with Mars here in your 7th house, this could be the end of a business partnership, and you need to be the one that finally puts your foot down and says, I can't do this anymore. It's not fair. I'm being taken advantage of. What you're doing is illegal. Like whatever the opportunity is, you have to stand up and fight for what you believe in. Now, that fight could have something to do with women, right? With mothers, because this is about the sign of Cancer, something to do with your home and family, right? It could be a legal issue with home and family that you are suddenly having to go into some really deep fight over. And it could be a legal one, right? Or maybe you're already in some kind of a legal fight, and now, as a result, you have to resolve it. And there's something that you're going to have to do in order to resolve it. And that, again, is the energy of Mars. Mars wants you to bring some change. Okay. But it's supportive, right? It's blue. Blue is a trine and it's supportive. So it's not that you just do it on your own. Mars, you got to lean into Venus, which is a friend, a woman friend specifically, and Saturn in your 3rd house, a mentor, a teacher of some kind. to get the advice to make the changes if you're this person. All right. And the other thing that we have, and this is a very long conversation between Chiron, also in the sign of Aries, and Jupiter. And Jupiter is going to be slowing down and getting ready to go retrograde. So especially the changes coming up right now during this eclipse cycle are part of a bigger story. And there's more to uncover and discover. Now, Jupiter is a benefic planet. It gives us our connection to spirit, it's godliness, it is growth and expansion and teaching, wise teachers, right? Especially in the sign of Gemini, where Jupiter's not at its strength in Gemini, right? It's the opposing sign. Jupiter's at home in Sagittarius, where it gets to be big, and it is a very big planet. In Gemini, it has to learn how to play small. It has to learn how to bring all that personality down to not overwhelm other people. So it's a little bit uncomfortable paying attention to all the details, where Sagittarius just wants everything to work out and not have to pay attention to all the facts and figures, right? But Gemini is about the facts and the figures. So there's something about the details that's combined with Chiron, which was a teacher and a coach, right? Trainer of the gods, and also a wounded healer, right? Which teaches us to heal our own wounds. We have to help others heal first. So there's something about that kind of action that we're going to see over the next several months. And it's a big story for the collective, and it will be an important story in your life, especially if you have planets around this 21 degrees, 5 degrees before and after. The closer, the more impactful this will feel. And again, it's a sextile. It's a very subtle energy. And you really have to tune in to pay attention. But Jupiter's a really big planet. So even though it's subtle, it's still really important. There's something we need to learn in order to help others heal and then help ourselves heal. There's an identity crisis going on, and we need to learn to see both sides in this situation. We need to stop attacking those who are different than us. It's just one of the storylines. So this has just started. This will go on for several months because of the fact that Chiron's in retrograde and Jupiter's about to go in retrograde. But we may see something now that we're going to explore more through the rest of this year. All right. And then the other energy we have going on, which is, we call it like a minor trine, but it is Neptune, also retrograde in Pisces. All of the outer planets are retrograde. And it is a retrograde conversation with Pluto in Capricorn. And if you've been following me, I've been telling you, this is a big deal. Now through October 11th, Pluto will be retrograde in Capricorn for the last time in our lifetimes. Story that started in 2008 is about to come to an end. And as of October 11th, what we've learned, we have to start moving forward with. And then as of November 19th, I think, is when we're moving on. And it will go back to Aquarius where it will stay. Capricorn, government, capitalism, Pluto, death, transformation, rebirth. And then you add in Uranus in Taurus, which is energy that shakes up the earth unexpectedly. It can shake up the financial markets, but it can also help us be more innovative when it comes to money, more open when it comes to our value systems. So these three are working together, and they're outer planets that work on the collective's energy. And they're helping make sweeping changes to society. So we're going to see this story change and shift in huge ways in 2025 as we see all three of these change signs. Plus Jupiter changes signs, plus Saturn changes signs. Things are changing in 2025 in incredibly big ways. So I've been saying all year long, 2024, we've got to get the work done and make ourselves open and available for these big shifts that are coming. And again, we've never seen anything like this in our lifetimes. We are going to jump light years ahead from where we currently are. Maybe AI plays a part in that. Maybe it helps us solve problems that have seemed to weigh us down. Maybe that's where we see these miracle healings happen with that conversation between Jupiter and Chiron. Okay. That is a lot of stuff going on. So be ready, set your intentions, and focus on what you can release based on the house that I'm going to tell you this is happening in for your sign. So we'll start with Aries, like I always do. And Aries, of course, you're the sign opposite Libra. So this is very intense for you, and you will notice it, especially those with their rising sign in this, 0 to even probably 15 degrees. So the early born Aries, this is important. So it's your seventh house, serious relationships, marriage, partnerships, business partnerships, right? So one may end, and as a result of that, a new, better one may come in for you, or you may just stick to being independent for a while because you've been stuck in a relationship that's unhealthy for too long, for instance. But again, the goal of the eclipse is to get you back on your path. And that would mean that if you're in a legal issue, if you're in some kind of business partnership or marriage that isn't suiting you, you may see that come to an end in order for the beginning, the new one to come in that's meant for you. All right, Aries. Next is Taurus. So Taurus, for you, this energy is going to be in your sixth house. And the sixth house is about your health. It's about your work. It can be being of service if, say, you're already retired. Anything that's a part of your day-to-day life that isn't fair to you is going to change. So again, you could have a significant job change. You could have a health change. And if you're feeling stuck and trapped in either one of those areas, then you're going to set your intentions for balance to be restored, say to your health, with the help of the energy of this eclipse. Okay, Taurus. Next, we have Gemini. So Gemini, for you, this happens in your fifth house. Now, the fifth house is all things that speak to your heart, things that you love, things that you're passionate about, your hobbies, your children, your romantic partners, right? So where are those relationships out of balance? Do you spend too much time on a hobby? You're not doing the work you're supposed to do, or vice versa. Or you're not giving enough time and attention to your hobby and you're feeling blah, right? Or again, you're in a relationship where you're doing way too much people pleasing. Something has to change. So whatever it is that what do you feel is blocking your heart, Gemini? That's what you want to set your intentions on and let this go. All right. Cancers. Cancer, this happens in your fourth house of home and family. And so that's the area that you're comfortable with, right? That's what Cancer is all about. Home, family, caring and nurturing for others. So is there something about your home life that isn't working, that isn't fair to you, that you need to end? Is there someone that you live with that is not right for you? Is there a situation with your family where you're continually doing what they expect of you versus pursuing what you want. Whatever that story is for you, Cancer, especially with Mars in your sign, you're not going to put up with it anymore. All right, next we have Leo. And I'm clicking these so that I can find this easier when I take these later for you guys. Leo, this happens in your third house. So this is about your community. This is about, it could be your siblings. It's about communication and learning and teaching. And so there's something that may be blocking you, right? To use your voice as you should, right? You're a Leo. You should never feel like you can't speak up and use your voice. So there's something you can do with the help of this eclipse energy to get blocks to clear communication removed. Now, third house is also our cars and vehicles. Maybe you're stuck with one and you want to get out of it somehow. Then again, ask the energy of the eclipse to help you get the new car you want. And then whatever it is that's blocking you or making you feel stuck with it, you would use this energy to get your new car. All right, next we have Virgos. And Virgo, this is happening in your second house, which is all about the money that you make. It's also about your self-worth. And you can work on removing any blocks to making sure that you are getting what you deserve and what you're worthy of, right? As far as life in general goes, and as far as your job and your income goes. So again, if there's an imbalance in some way in how you make money, if you're giving too much of yourself to somebody else, maybe you're in a business partnership, then the eclipse is going to rid you of that opportunity so that you can start over fresh and new. So don't be fearful if a job change happens, for instance, because then something better is coming in that you deserve and not what you're making do with or putting up with. Just one way this can show up. Now, Libras, your ruler, your planetary ruler is Venus. And so when Venus is being activated with a grand water trine, and this is about your first house, your ruler, right? This is about an opportunity to completely reinvent yourself, to stop being too much of a people pleaser. I don't think you're ever going to vanquish that completely. I know a lot of Libras and they don't, but you can do it in a way where you stop exhausting yourself, right? Where you make sure that you choose yourself first and then you help take care of other people instead of just always worrying about the other people in your life. It's exhausting and it's time for that to stop. And this fact that you have Mercury in your first house as well, again, could be you suddenly speaking up for yourself and making sure that you're treated fairly. And that would be a huge blessing. So I can't wait to hear how these situations go for everybody. Now, Scorpio. So Scorpio, you have that Venus energy that is sitting in your sign, and it stirs things up emotionally for you pretty intensely. What do I love? What do I value? All of these Venus storylines. And this is happening in your 12th house. Now, the 12th house rules the subconscious mind. So this can be a time where you're feeling a heaviness, especially when it's the subconscious. It's hard to completely appreciate or understand sometimes. But again, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to those feelings that are just guiding you on something specific that you need to change that's blocking you, that may be destroying your relationships. There may be a lot of self-sabotaging going on as far as your relationships go, and you're going to find out, surprisingly, that the problem is you. It's not the other person. And as a result of that and what you learn, you can rewire your subconscious mind. Now, I do lots of hypnosis work, and I have a lot of it available out on my YouTube channel. In fact, I will be linking the one for Libra out there for everybody to go out and cleanse themselves as far as relationships go. But that might be really helpful for you at this time, because the ruler being in your sign of the eclipse means you are, again, one of the signs that's going to feel this more intensely than maybe some others. So big changes and shifts are available to you. Do the work. Okay. Next, we have Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, for you, this energy is showing up in your 11th house. This is friends and networking groups, communities that you're a part of, and it can be a benefactor. So something is shifting and changing there. Now, maybe you're in a situation where you have a frenemy and you just keep up the relationship, even though you know it isn't healthy. This person drags you down all the time. They're keeping you stuck and trapped in some way because they just constantly nitpick at you and just make you not believe that you're worthy of better, right? Just one scenario, of course. And maybe it's a mentor, right? That same thing is just like constantly holding you back and saying things that make you doubt that you could do more and go bigger, which I doubt, Sagittarius, but it could happen. So whatever the situation is for you, if you feel like you're blocked from creating friendships, use this eclipse to help you break free from those blocks and then set the intentions to make friends that share the same beliefs and values that you do. Okay. All right. Next, we have Capricorn. And Capricorn, this happens for you in your 10th house, which Capricorn is the ruler of the 10th house, which is all about hard work and career and notoriety and recognition. Sometimes your marriage can be seen here too, if it's a marriage that has some kind of a status to it. So this can be a whole change as far as your career goes, right? And I mentioned earlier, because this example with Libra in this person's 10th house, that's the storyline here, right? You may have lost a job, or you may be about to, and as a result of that, you're going to have time to sit and decide, well, now that I don't have this job, do I want to just go back to doing the same thing? Or maybe there's something different I want to do and I want to explore. And maybe it's the same job, but I'm going to make sure that the company I choose to work for this time treats me fairly, right? That there's as much in it for me as it is for my employer, not just benefiting the employer, but it has to be fair for both sides. So it can be a really exciting time, but it can be a little scary whenever we are going through a change that we feel affects kind of who we are. And so, but you Capricorns are stable and steady. And you're about to finish your big transformation work with this energy of Pluto in your sign still. So just keep moving forward. You're almost done. I have faith in you. All right. Next, we have Aquarius. And Aquarius, this happens for you in your 9th house. Now, the 9th house has everything to do with all those Jupiter topics I mentioned at the top of this session. And Aquarius, you're maybe making huge changes that have to do with foreign people, foreign places, or this could have to do with your higher education. This could be a time where you finally remove whatever's been blocking you from completing your education. Or maybe you've been wanting to move abroad, or maybe you're already moved abroad and you want to finally come back. Something in this area changes for you. It's also a time where if you're feeling disconnected and you don't know, why am I here? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of life, right? That's what that Jupiter energy in that 9th house can help you do, right? And explore your beliefs and value systems and connect with people, connect with a mentor that helps you understand all of that and helps you get reconnected to others. All right. And then last but never least, we have Pisces. And Pisces, of course, you have had Saturn working on you for 2 years. And now helping you somehow in this eclipse establish these boundaries in a way that benefits you, right? As this conversation is happening with Saturn and Venus and Mars at the time of this eclipse, this is the 8th house. All of this energy is helping you go through a huge transformation. It's a rebirth process. And even if it's just your feelings, right? Your emotions, you can be very sensitive, of course, as a Pisces. Some of you may be stuck in victim mode and you're finally sick and tired of even yourself. You're tired of hearing yourself complain. It's not working and it's not helping, and you're not a victim. And so finally, with the help of this eclipse, you break free from that kind of a mindset. You step fully into your power. And when you're open, Saturn says, okay, great, you've shown up. Now here's the plan and how we're going to move forward. You just got to show up and do the work. All right. Just a few examples of, how this can show up for you. And then just to circle back, reminder. This is not an easy eclipse. When the ruler of the eclipse, Venus, is in an intense sign like Scorpio, which if you were listening to Pisces, it's all about death and rebirth and transformation. It's intense emotions, right? There can be a darkness to it. Everybody chooses which side of the energy they're going to connect to and work on. So I expect to see some shocks and surprises as far as relationships go. We could hear of a surprise wedding. We could hear of a surprise divorce. We could hear about somebody who reconnects. I mean, it's relationships, right? And it's very public. We're going to see something that could, surprise us and shock us, and learn information, right? That could be surprising and shocking. But eclipses are fated, and we just need to show up and do the work and trust the process. Because whatever is let go, it starts a new 19-year chapter for you. So we're closing out the previous one that started, like I said, 2005, and now a new 19-year cycle can open up for you. So if you've been a little sick of what you've been learning over the last 19 years, set that as your intention that I get it. I'm not going to repeat those mistakes, those lessons, and I'm ready, to move forward with healthy relationships, wherever those are in your life and in your chart. All right. That's all I have. So I will still post a video for next week to cover the rest of the days of the week, because there's some pretty interesting energy that still goes on next week that we'll want to talk about. So be sure to come back and watch that video as well. Again, take advantage of my discounted rate where we can pull up and dig deep into both of these eclipses. And I'm already, like I said, getting ready for 2025 work too, so we can have a little conversation about those eclipses as well. So much to share. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to show up and share your time with me. Thank you again for liking and commenting and subscribing and sharing my work with someone that you think could benefit from it. Because my goal when doing astrology is to help people better understand themselves, know that what is happening is normal and you're not crazy. All right. Thank you guys. I want to hear all of your stories, so please connect with me, ask your questions, and we'll talk next week. Thanks, everybody. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this astro lesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.